So let's now take an overview quickly. Before we get bogged down in specific detail, you want to get big picture. You want to be able to identify some of the major movements in the book of Revelation. We hear about seals that are broken and that are poured out on the earth in chapters 6 through 8. You also hear about trumpets in chapters 8 and 9. You finally hear about bowls of wrath. These are in chapters 15, 16, and 17, and then mentioned one time in the book of 21, kind of in retrospect, kind of looking backward at what has already happened. When you look at all three of these things, these are where some of the great tribulations are poured out on the earth. The problem with attaching or connecting COVID-19 with some event in the book of Revelation is that in none of these chapters, not with the seals, not with the trumpets, not with the bowls of wrath, do we find any references at all to sickness or illness or disease. You find lots of other things, which we will look at in detail, greater detail in just a moment, but you don't find in the references to the seals that are open, the trumpets, or the bowls of wrath that are poured out on the earth. You find not one reference to anything associated with sickness, illness, or disease. Now let's dial in a little bit more closely on the book of Revelation, and let's look specifically at these illness words, these sickness words. The word sick or sickness shows up 47 times in the New Testament, but it only shows up one time in the book of Revelation, and that's in chapter 2, verse 22. And this is said of only one person. I'm going to throw this false prophetess on a sick bed, according to the book of Revelation. It only affects one person. With respect to the word ill or illness, this shows up 6 times in the New Testament, and it shows up no times in the book of Revelation. The word disease, or its plural diseases, shows up 10 times in the New Testament, but again, none in the book of Revelation. So what we're seeing with the more specific picture is the same thing that we saw with the overview, is that there's lots of stuff going on in the book of Revelation, and some very negative, we would classify them as negative, categorize them as negative occurrences, but not in the book of Revelation.